Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. As you all know, this morning we spoke with Jonathan Gannon and let him know that we were going to go in a different direction with our head coach. Jonathan is a very smart, motivated, enthusiastic, intelligent, awesome coach. He and his staff, their families, Gina Gannon and their families, give so much and so much sacrifice to this organization. We're so appreciative of what he put into this organization. He made us better, but I think, as you all know, this is a league about wins and losses. The wins and losses speak for themselves, especially this year. We just felt like we were going in the wrong direction and we needed to change course. So we did that this morning, and we're embarking on a search that Monti will be leading to bring on our next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Any questions?
Michael, I guess, why the decision to fire JG and keep Monti?
Well, I think when you look at all the wins and losses, we just felt like, of the totality of all the circumstances, the best decision was to move in a different direction with head coach. But I have worked with Monti for 3 years, and I'm very comfortable and confident in his ability to be our general manager.
Michael, there's a lot of layers to this decision. Obviously, a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. What was it ultimately that kind of came down to you saying, hey, we need to go in a different direction?
I think is what I said earlier is, you know, we were going in the wrong direction. It seemed like it came down to wins and losses. And, you know, we've won one game since week 2 of the NFL season. And it just felt like it had gotten too far, and it was just time to go in a different direction.
Why did you believe that was on coaching rather than roster construction when you look at who is on this roster right now?
I look at the roster, I think Monti's done a very good job. 3 years ago, this roster looked a lot different, a combination of draft and free agency. Injuries are obviously a factor, but when I look at just the totality of the circumstances, and you know, I wanted 17 games over the 18 weeks to make that decision. Monti and I wanted to give the benefit of those coaches and those players to see a whole body of work for the whole season. And at the end of last night, when we had a chance to speak, and then again this morning, after sleeping on it, we decided this was the best direction to go.
You guys had 25 players on IR, more than 300 games missed with injuries, down 5 of your top 6 receivers, 2 of your top 4 running backs, 2 of your top 4 tight ends. Was this roster winnable towards the end of the season?
Well, listen, injuries are, you know, we got hit very hard this year. We did. And, you know, it's hard to overcome that volume. But there's also, you know, the injuries are inevitable in the NFL season. And, you know, if you go back to the end of last year and into the beginning of this year, just things were not going, just the totality of the entire direction of the football operation just wasn't going in the right direction. And so injury certainly played a part of that. But we wanted to look at a big picture of where we were as a football team.
Monti, were you involved in this decision, and do you feel any guilt or culpability for the roster, for the way the season went?
Absolutely. I feel we're all accountable for where we are, and that starts with me. And so I think we all have to look in the mirror and figure out where we have gone wrong, what we can do better, and how we proceed from here. And so, you know, Michael and I spoke last night, like he said. We spoke again this morning and decided that this was the best course of action for us as a team.
What specifically do you feel like you have not done well enough in constructing this roster?
Well, I think every decision that's made is, you know, I understand what this job is, and every decision is going to be looked at. And well, you could have took this guy, or you should have signed this guy, and that's reality. That's what 31 other teams go through as well. And so, every decision that we make, we're going to do the best that we can with the information that we have, and every decision that we make is going to be in the best interest of the team, and that's going to be the same going forward.
Do you feel like you've constructed a roster that's good enough to win with?
I think that from what we've done here in 3 years, that we've certainly flipped what this roster looked like 3 years ago. I believe that we have a talented group of young players, players that have played a lot. There's no replication of actually playing on the field. We have a big group of players that have done that, and we have to continue to do better. We have to do better at developing players. We have to do a better job of player acquisition. I don't think there's ever a point where you're going to say, yep, we're all set, our roster is where it needs to be. That doesn't happen. I don't think even the teams that are in the playoffs this weekend would say that. Roster construction never ends, and we're going to continue to add to our roster this offseason in the acquisition periods of the draft and free agency.
What kind of mark did Jonathan Gannon leave on this organization? What made this really a tough decision to make?
Well, first of all, the person. There's not a guy that I respect more than JG. He and I came in together. What I would say, what he did for the culture of this building, the culture of how our building operates on a day-to-day basis, the discipline, the accountability that he instilled in our players. JG, what JG did, it's night and day, that group, what that locker room looks like now from then. So I will always respect, JG is a great man, he's a great coach. So I respect everything that he's done for us to now.
Michael, where did this go wrong in your eyes? How did this happen?
I think it simply gets down to wins and losses, and I don't want to look through every play or every game or everything along those lines. At the end of the day, it's pretty simple. It boils down to wins and losses, and we let too many of them get away. But I think he built a great foundation. When Monty talks about culture, that team-first culture is alive and well here. I think one of the silver linings with the injuries, we've got a lot of young players that got a lot of play time this year, and they'll be ready to go next year. And so I think that's going to benefit us in the future, and so that is a silver lining as well.
How much does this burn you up personally? I know you're a competitive guy. I know you want to win. How much does this burn you personally?
You can't imagine. Thanks for asking that question, Greg. I know our fans are frustrated. I am more frustrated. I know Monty is more frustrated. This is something, and so is JG. Every one of those coaches and players. We all expected more. But I also, when I look at it, some of the changes that were made with other teams just a year or 2 years ago, those teams with new coaches from a year or two ago are now in the playoffs playing this weekend. I know we can turn it around, and I'm looking forward to getting going with this search because it's going to be a great opportunity for us to be that next story where we flip it around.
You said that football operations needed to improve. Two-part question. Where specifically do football operations need to improve? And you're in charge of football operations, so what's your role in them not succeeding as you wanted to?
Well, I mean, again, Josh, I take a lot of accountability in where we're at right now. I mean, we're all involved in it, and I'm not going to run from that. That goes with the territory, and so I have to do a better job of that than I'm going to. I'm completely focused on starting this search and leading us on this search and finding the next leader of our new head coach to lead our team. Football operations, I mean, it encompasses everything. It encompasses, the team on the field. It encompasses how we train, how we practice, how we rehab players, how we feed players, it's everything, how we travel. And so, there was a lot of things that we had to look at, and Michael gave us the support and the resources to do that. And we did. I know it doesn't show in our wins and losses, but we made a lot of strides. But unfortunately, we didn't make enough of them. And where we've come up short is the record, and that's what it is. And like Michael said, none of us expected to be here today. We didn't. And there's it's not just one thing. There's a lot of things that we have to get moving in the right direction, and that process starts today. And so we have to get going in the right direction to get us back on the winning side of things, get our fans back fired up about what we're doing, what we're putting on the field. And Michael, myself, and the rest of the organization is focused on doing that.
If JG brought the right culture, but it didn't lead to wins, how does that inform your selection process of the next head coach? What qualities are you looking for in that person?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we're looking for a strong leader, and this is being a head coach in the NFL is a difficult job, and there is 31 other teams that are trying to do the same thing that we're doing, and so a lot goes into that. There's being a strong leader. It's creating accountability and dependability in the locker room. It's creating advantages on the field, putting our players in a position to be successful. It's developing young players. It's helping them take that next step. We get players out of college, and we have to get them better. And so there's a lot that falls under the umbrella of a head coach. And so we're focused on finding a coach that can help us achieve those goals.
Do you have a timeline in mind in terms of how you want this to proceed and how quickly this might be able to happen?
Well, Darren, I think with the rules in place by the NFL, this is not a quick process, nor do we want it to be. I mean, this is an important decision that Michael and I are going to undertake, and so we are going to be thorough. We're gonna look at a wide range of candidates, and because of the NFL rules as they stand with timing, of when we can talk to guys that are still in the playoffs. This is not a process that's going to be quick. And so a timeline, no, but we're going to be ready, and we're going to be aggressive with our search, and we're going to be thorough with our search. And when we find the right guy, we're going to be aggressive to go get him.
This decision obviously sends a message to the fan base. Do you have a message to the fans right now?
We want to win. This was a decision that was based solely off winning. When I look at what other teams have done, and frankly, historically, we've done a quick turnaround in our not too distant past, I am looking forward to that, and I hope it's going to be in the first year, not in the second year. But we're confident that our search is going to be thorough, it's going to be broad, and we're going to select the right coach.
Michael, to piggyback off that real quick, you've heard fans' frustration.
Oh, yeah, I've had my own frustration. I think we've all had our own frustration, and I've watched every game in person, every play in person, and it's been frustrating to watch. I know it was frustrating for JG and for the staff, as well as their families and the players and their families. We all had higher expectations.
Michael, will you be willing to pay top of the market rates for the most in-demand coaches on the market?
I'm not going to negotiate the contract here with you, but we're looking forward to going out there and putting a winning coach in this position and having wins, and that's what I'm focused on.
How will Kyler factor into the decision of the next head coach? Do you plan on having him as your quarterback next year? And if so, do you want an offensive-minded head coach that can kind of groom him and make him into what you hope he can be?
I mean, first of all, I think we're looking for the best head coach. We're not going into this saying we want an offensive coach or we want a defensive coach. We want the best head coach and the best fit for us. As it pertains to Kyler, Kyler's under contract, Jacoby's under contract, Keaton Slovis is under contract. We just came off the last game of the year, and less than 24 hours ago, we just left the field. And so, there'll be a time and place for those discussions. I think when you come off a season like we have, I'd say all options are on the table, whether it's quarterback or any other position. All options are on the table, and we're going to investigate all those to improve the team. And with every roster decision, we're going to always, as we always have, we're going to do what's in the best interest of the team.
In the past, your organization has been pretty steadfast that Kyler is the franchise quarterback. Has that changed?
I don't know that that's changed. I think like I said, Cam, I think what we have to do is we have to look long and hard at this season and what happened. And when you have a season like this, I think all options are on the table. And so things didn't work out. Kyler was injured this year. Jacoby stepped in and played well. And we'll see what that leads to. We'll see what that leads into the offseason as we construct the 2026 team. But those discussions are for another day, not the day after the season has ended.
Michael, part of the frustration with the fan experience is a perception that you guys are catering to the rich fans, right? With the seats and the ticket prices and the casitas and all that. What can you say to the everyday fan, the rank and file fan?
I'm not sure I totally agree with that. I think that we have done a lot of things to enhance the stadium. Food selection at the stadium, we've now got, I think, over a dozen different local brands inside the stadium. We have enhanced the Wi-Fi, which is everybody has access to, the video boards, the game day experience, the game day entertainment, all the enhancements outside the stadium, the upgrades that you guys may not see in the concessions. We just rebranded all the concessions, every concession stand. So I think when you look at the stadium, we have put investment into all areas of the stadium for all our fans, and we want to be as inclusive for all of our fans, that they have the ability to come and enjoy live NFL football at State Farm Stadium. And we're going to continue to make those investments. We every year make investments into State Farm Stadium. We're very proud of those investments. And there are opportunities where we have made some substantial investments I'm not sure we get complete credit for in the terrace level and other areas that are accessible to all fans.
Then how do you justify the price hikes this year?
Well, the price hikes, I think, comparatively to the rest of the National Football League, we're still in, I believe, in the below the average of NFL pricing for game tickets.
But it's gone up significantly faster than the rate of inflation, and it's hitting fans in their wallets. Does that not concern you?
Well, we try to take that into consideration when we're pricing, and so our team's looking at that every year. And so we try to make it as affordable as we can, but we also have to go out there and compete with the rest of the National Football League.
With what you invested in the offseason last year through the draft and free agency on the defensive side, how much of a frustration was the defense for you this season?
Yeah, Craig, I think the frustration just with the entire performance of our team, and so, there certainly was shortcomings on each side of the ball. So frustrations at losing like we did and losing the amount of times that we did, I would say very high, to be quite simple.
Monty, some of your draft picks, and I'm really thinking about the big 2024 class, Marvin Harrison, Darius Robinson, relative to their position, have seemed to not have as big of an impact as a lot of people have thought. What do you think has gone wrong there? Do you think there's more to tap in there, or was it a valuation problem? What do you think of your draft?
Yeah, I think with every player, you have to look at it's an individual basis, and so, I'd say Marvin was got off to a little bit of a rocky start, just had some frustrations on his own part, and then Marvin started to turn it around, and so even when Marvin probably wasn't producing to what he thought, Marvin was a factor when he was on the field, and then a freak injury and with his appendicitis knocks him out of a couple games, comes back and has a couple good games, and then has a heel injury, and being a wide receiver that can't run, that's pretty much a prerequisite for the job, and so frustration there. I think with Darius, another guy who, basically he's just finished his second year, but when you tally up the number of games that he's probably missed the equivalent of a full season over the last two. And so, I know Darius's frustration has come from, lack of ability to impact the game in the passing game. But I'd also say that if you look back at the tape on the second half of this season, what Darius has done for us as a run defender, and I know that's not flashy and people don't get excited because when he's two-gapping and pressing a guard or pressing a tackle and coming off a block and stopping a running back, that doesn't look as flashy as when he goes and gets a sack, and I understand that. But I would say in terms of the two individuals, couldn't be more happy with who they are as people, who they are as leaders for us. I know that they want to do more. They want to reach levels that that they haven't reached yet, and I'm confident that they are going to do it. So, excited those two are about the right things, and really excited for them to have a full off season and get them to a point that they can help us win more games in 2026.
Excuse me 1 second. We'll take two more. We'll take Greg and Teo. Last two.
roster construction, why was it roster construction and not, or why was it coaching and not roster construction, please? You made the decision to move on from Jonathan, right? But a lot of us are looking around and saying, well, the roster, maybe it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. Why is it on Jonathan and not Monti?
It comes down to wins and losses, and there were several games in which we had a chance to win those games when injuries weren't as much of a factor, and we didn't win them. You guys witnessed those same games. I think, again, the person that can impact the wins, and you look across, again, those teams that are in the playoffs with new coaches that have turned those franchises around fast and their fortunes on the field. We just felt like when you look at how much we had regressed this year, we felt like the best option for us was to go in a different direction with the head coach.
For Monti, you said earlier, you flipped the roster, you think it's a talented roster, but when you look at it, there's not many positions where you guys are significantly above average. You have not acquired a Pro Bowler in your 3 seasons. What is it specifically about this roster when you look at it that you do feel like it's above average and capable of competing in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, Teo, I guess I would push back. I mean, I don't like, what are we talking? Are we talking PFF grades? Like, I know everybody likes to live and die on those, and I get that, but
Washington and 3 and 14 and
I get that, and that's accurate. Like, with the wins have not been there, but I would say that the number of young players that we've had that are contributing, the number of players that are on rookie contracts, the guys that have impacted the game and are getting opportunities, are going to get more opportunities at premium positions. We have a young core group of players that we didn't have 3 years ago, and we have guys that are made of the right things and are going to have more opportunities moving forward. I know that there's always going to be, how come this guy hasn't made the Pro Bowl? And I understand that, but the bottom line is we have to win more games, and so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to develop our young players. We're going to, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, however you look at it, we're going to have another opportunity to add players with a high draft pick this year. We'll pick at the top of each round. And so we're going to continue to add to this roster and continue to put the right type of people on this team, and we're going to continue that process with finding a head coach to put us in a good position for 2026.
push back on that. Which position groups other than tight end and maybe safety and wide receiver are significantly above average?
Listen, we started 2 corners the entire year, rookie corners. We started a Mike linebacker who came in and has started the second half of the season. Okay, we have young offensive linemen that are contributing at left tackle, at right guard. We had players that got some more play time as the year went on. We've had players that have not been able to be out on the field because of injuries, and I understand that, and it's hard to replace those reps. So those are and we've added significant pieces to the D-line and the edge group. And so the reality is we haven't won enough. And so there's multiple reasons why that is the case. And so we need to get to a point where we are getting over the hump, and those players are developing and giving us a chance to get back on the winning side of things, and we're looking forward to doing that.